East Hollywood.
East Hollywood, a couple of the Hollywood ones have been our meetings. So that, I'm sure I've skipped some, but we, and we also move around and
cover a lot of territory,
and growing in terms of who will show up when. Okay. And we also will get the word out.
Okay, well certainly all of you have a vested interest in what's going on with this campus. This campus was targeted to serve the Northeast community, particularly Silver Lake, Echo Park, Mount Washington, Glassell Park, Cypress Park, Lincoln Heights, Eagle Rock, Echo Park. Those were really the key communities that this campus was envisioned for. So we've drafted this resolution, and when we're finished, we have a copy for you all to take.
Could you read it out loud a little bit?
It's really long. These are the things actually that we're asking for, the action items. To contact the city attorney, to contact the state representatives, to contact the state attorney general.
Because there's various things that these people are over that
the governor,
being violated.
The board of trustees. So we're going to do a little bit of current status, a little bit of the historic background, where the coalition started and where we came from, then recent background, what's been leading up to this point, and we'll be doing a chronology sort of events along with documents that go along with it.
It's complicated.
Yeah. So
I wish it wasn't.
Just recently in April, the Community College District explained to the public that they were going to be transferring, that LA City College was going to be transferring the campus from their possession to the district. And at that time, the coalition sort of reactivated and started asking questions like, what happened? How did this decision get made? What happened with the financials? The district pretty much continuously was just sort of blowing us off.
And what they were basically saying was, well, it's very recent, and it's just because all of a sudden there's this huge budget emergency and it got cut.
But we kept on asking, and they kept on saying that they were going to give, and they weren't giving. So at the end of June, we filed.
2 weeks, it was going to be in 3 weeks, and then they just couldn't even say
And Count CD13 was active and helped try to get things moving with this. At the end of June, we filed a public records request. At the end of August, we got our first small set of documents.
As you know, they have 10 working days, and that was a month.
And one of the documents we found in there was a document that actually described how they were going to deal with the community, and particularly with us. And one of the strategies, and the one that it seems that they adopted was the Stonewall approach.
That's literally what it says in the document. There it is. You see, it's their official document. There's the guy who wrote it up for them.
What's his name?
Richard Brand. And if you go back one, let me just go back.
What's his capacity?
He's the project manager. You see, it's the Community New More Aggressive Campaign, Freedom of Information Act, Stonewall approach, and then they lay it out there and they say, it maintains status quo regarding the district message, no active response required.
Well, I think I would like to have seen this without all this stuff laid over it.
That's a graphic technique. Some people like it, some don't.
Well, I would like to have read what they actually said instead of you pulling out what you think is
It'll be available for interest.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that there's a lot of documents that we're going to show it. It would take you
hours to sit and read it all.
Everything.
But you're welcome to read it. We're all about getting stuff out instead of hiding it. Whatever they gave us, we put out.
So, I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Vandekamps Bakery site was the headquarters for the Vandekamps Bakery and Frozen Goods Company for many years. The identity of Vandekamps actually came from the building that was built. The architect dreamed up this idea of this Dutch colonial style. And then the company adopted that as their theme, along with the windmills that went along with that style. So the building was iconic and became the iconic symbol for the company itself. And Vandekamp spread throughout Southern California, and eventually in the 60s, part of it was sold off, another part was sold off in the 70s. The building wound up in private investors' hands, and the private investor was going to sell it to Larry and Ralph Cimarusti, who wanted to build a home base there tear it down, build a home base, and build a Burger King, because these guys were the guys that had 160 Burger Kings. So the Coalition to Save Van de Kamps activated. We went out to all the communities in the Northeast, and our coalition was actually consisted of 28 community groups, of which Nettie and Mickey and I were sort of the front people of. And we grabbed Los Angeles Conservancy by the shoulders and said, "You're also our partner," and they reluctantly were our partner. That's the way it is with the Conservancy. And we actually beat these multi-millionaire Burger King brothers in the Planning Commission process with a unanimous decision,
Which was
with
amazing.
the proceedings led by Huelhauser, and pretty much it was all downhill for them after that. Part of our goal to save in the process of saving the Van de Kamps building was also to preserve it from demolition by neglect, and also to find an adaptive reuse tenant, because just stopping the developer didn't ensure that the building would be sold. So we reached out to all the politicals, because that's one way of finding a pot of money. We also went out to LAUSD and
Oh, the
Richard
Children's
Block,
Museum.
Children's Museum, yeah.
Lots of
They-
people.
Doug Ring blew us off, and look where the Children's Museum is now. Richard Plonko, who was state senator at that time, and just a couple of years before, worked with Mickey to save Lowry's and turn it into the River Center. When we approached him, he came back to us and said, "Hey, what do you guys think about LACC coming in there?" And we said, "That's fantastic." And he said, "Well, they're interested." And we said, "Let's go." And so he went and got $3 million from the state of California as part of the down payment, as part of the payment that the community college would have to make to buy the property. And LACC started developing plans. The original concept was that they would adaptively reuse the bakery building, particularly the office building, and that they would build 2 new buildings on the site. LACC originally was going to fund this with their own funds that they had, and then fundraise for building number 3. About a year and a half later, after LACC bought the property, we were approached by the district, the coalition was, about whether we would support a bond issue for the campus, and by both the district and LACC. And we said, yeah, because what they've told us is that with the bond, they would be able to not only build the 2 buildings, adaptively use the original building, build the second main building, but also build this 3rd building, which was going to be a multi-purpose auditorium that would both be a community space. They would have show movies there, plays, entertainment. That would be something that would be very accessible for the community, as well as being doubling as a large lecture hall for the campus.
A huge part of this, I just want to say, for those of us who are involved in neighborhood councils, for Glassell and Atwater Village, Glassell has a community center now, which is sort of new, where we met last month, but Atwater doesn't, and this was going to be really the hub for Glassell and Atwater Village, for community centers. We don't have a youth center, we don't have park space, you know what I mean? We've got 2.5 gangs, this is going to be like our sort of hearth, basically, for both communities.
So we were like, let's go, let's do this. And the community organizations that we worked with all went out to their people and said, vote for Prop AA.
Yeah, we had a big campaign.
Bring the Van de Kamps campus to fruition.
And you can see the 3
There's
buildings.
building 3 there, and then you can see this is the rendering, and
Is there train tracks or something close by?
yeah, the train tracks are on
the other
the
side of the freeway.
right edge of the picture here.
Over here where the cocktail glasses are, that would be the freeway and the train.
Yeah, freeways here, railroad tracks are here. This is San Fernando up here.
Oh,
This is Fletcher Drive right here.
So if you followed that sloping street, it would take you into Atwater if you continue
Yeah,
up
just
that
kept,
street.
where
That's
that little
Glassell.
gray car is going, it just kept going.
And so we're inside that
Yeah,
circle
right.
is where the multi-purpose room was going to be that we were also excited we were going to get. We were invited to join the steering committee for the Van de Kamp Satellite Campus, and for 3 years,
No,
4 years, the steering committee was meeting.
it started 2002, and I think its last meeting was actually 2007. Like, yeah.
pretty shortly after,
You're just trying to not think of all those years you went to all those
I know,
meetings.
it's unbearable.
Yeah.
Pretty soon after the steering committee started meeting though, Mary Spangler, who was the president then of LA City College, and was the one that had made the deal with Richard Polanco, left to go take the job out of the state. And the two people that she left behind to carry on, Art Tyler and Dan Seymour, who was the one that was really in charge of this process, were in the middle of a political battle on the campus that they made us aware of. And there were a couple of people on the campus, Gary Colombo, who is now the Vice Chancellor of Institutional Effectiveness,
As a
and
district.
Carl Friedlander, who is the president of the Faculty Union, had basically been fighting the campus. It was,
They were in the distinct minority.
they were